Hello, this is Rick again, your bike fitness coach, and let me talk a little bit about bike sizing. So I've had some comments and some questions about what is this thing in the back of the shop. This is the Calfee bike frame building / bike sizing machine, where I can put in the geometry that works for a given customer. And Calfee can create a custom carbon frame for that person. I also use it, example, a customer came in, give you a good example, run you through a bike sizing process. Customer calls, says they're looking for their dream bike and they've decided on a Canyon. And I said, well, why the Canyon? And they said, well, I'm in San Diego. I drive by the Canyon office every day to work. And I stopped there the other day. They let me ride 2 bikes and they didn't feel right. They just didn't fit right. So I had the choice of coming to one of the local San Diego fitters or coming up to you. And I wanted kind of an unbiased opinion. It seems some of the fitters down there, again, this came from the customer. Some of the fitters are kind of biased towards certain bikes, and I wanted a fresh opinion without any bias. I said, sure, come on in. Talk to him a little bit about what's your height? He said, about 6'3". And I said, okay. What did they give you to ride at Canyon? And he goes, well, they gave me large and an extra large. I was looking at a couple different bikes, and I think I've decided on one of them, and I'll show you that in a second. And I said, what other bikes are you considering? He said, well, really kind of the Canyon, but if I had a second choice, I would choose a Giant. I've always liked the looks of the bike. I said, well, what's with the Canyon? Why are you choosing the Canyon? What's special about the Canyon? He said, well, I just like the way the front end, the cockpit works. And I said, well, the only issue with those integrated cockpits are that you get what you get. For example, if you have long legs and a short torso, and on an extra large, they're going to be putting a 120 stem, that bike's not going to fit you. And good luck getting a new integrated cockpit, because this is more of a distribution center and demo center than a parts warehouse where they can actually custom set up a stem bar for you. But we'll look at everything that you have. We'll go through some different scenarios and get you sorted out. So he comes in, and I could immediately see he had very long legs and a short torso. So we basically set him up. I went to the Canyon website, and here is an example. I took all of the geometry off of the Canyon website: stack and reach, steer tube length, steer tube angle, top tube length, head tube length, head tube angle, and what stem and what crank they were putting on the bike. His first choice was the Ultimate. So I went ahead and quickly put in the Ultimate extra large. And we had a little talk. We had a little discussion about extra large versus large. There's been bike sizing examples where I've gone through and the person wanted the smaller frame so it fit better their reach, because they also had long legs, short torso. The problem is we ran out of seat post. So I always like to size up on somebody that has longer legs, a shorter torso, so we don't run out of seat post and get stuck with a bike that they can't use. So I took the dimensions, put them into the size cycle, and as you see over here, we can set up the seat tube length right here. I can look at this. I can put in the seat tube angle. I can put in the head tube height, head tube angle, as well as right here, I can put in the top tube length. I can also set it, if you look at it, has a sloping top tube. I can set it up with what the manufacturer says, or I can raise this and have an effective top tube. There's a little bubble level here. So it's a very versatile machine. So I took put the 175s on that came with in the spec charts, in the geometry charts of Canyon. If for these cranks, I can set 155 to 185, or for somebody that's a little smaller and shorter, I have these set of crank arms I can put on, which go from 140 to 170. Very versatile machine. So basically, we put this in, and we put the 110 stem on, and he was like laying down on the bike. He said, "This is so uncomfortable. I could never ride this. I could never ride this bike for more than a mile." I said, "Okay, well, we're stuck because Canyon says that's the bar and stem you get, and that's what you get." So I said, if we go through, look at a Giant, which was his second choice, they do have a separate bar and stem on their bike. So we looked at the Advanced Pro and the Propel. I put this in, and that's actually what's set up right here on this side cycle right now. We put this in, and he said he still had issue because it came with a 120 stem. And I said, well, okay, we can adjust it because Giant has options with a separate bar, separate stem. Why don't we start playing with what's comfortable for you? So for this gentleman, he had quite a bit of seat post up, as you can see. The long legs, he had very long legs and short torso. A lot of seat posts showing out of the seat tube. But this is interesting. If you look at here, we had to go to a 60 plus 17 so he could fit on the bike. So after we decided that he was happy with this measurement, I told him to go ahead and make an appointment at the local Giant dealer and tell him that you want this frame, and he wanted to update or upgrade to the Di2 and or SRAM access from mechanical shifting. So he was going to work on that, and he was also going to have them swap out the standard 120 stem with a 60 by 17 and come back in, and then we were going to put him over here on this machine. Bike's going to sit on here, and we're going to get a full bike fit when he comes back. He's hoping to come back in a couple of weeks when the bike comes in and gets built. I think it's coming from the East Coast, so he will be back here soon. And that's basically how we do bike sizing and bike fitting. Another point is that what we can do on this, I do have a special on bike sizing and bike fitting at the same time. So I can actually fine tune this. We can adjust the saddle. So what we did is basically verify that the Giant XL TCR Advanced would fit him with that stem and bar. We could go for a little bit longer of a time on the bike. We could actually get this set correctly for him. He decided to get set on the bike itself and not the side cycle, but we could do the bike fitting on here as well, and I could give him the final chart and say, this is where the seat is, this is the saddle height, this is the saddle fore aft, you need this bar and stem. And he could have done it that way. The mechanics could have put it together. He could have come in, we could have checked it. But both options are available where you can do a bike sizing and separate bike fitting, or a complete bike sizing / bike fitting on one machine at one time. So I hope that kind of goes through and explains why it's so important to get a bike sizing done. When you go out and spend $6,000+ on a bicycle, you got to make sure it's the right size, the frame is the right size, and you have the right components. Otherwise, you're going to hate that bike every ride you do. So this gentleman is going to be very happy when we get done. He's going to have a big smile on his face when he's out there riding this thing. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.